It's a great day to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Let's jump right in. So James Harrison, he's saying that the Pittsburgh Steelers should basically break the bank, sell the entire farm to get Joe Burrow on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster. I can't say I disagree with him, although I do think it's a pipe dream. You know, Joe Burrow, I don't know, he gives me some weird vibes. Like, sometimes I feel like he's happy in Cincinnati, then sometimes I feel like he's not happy in Cincinnati. I mean, when you look at the weapons that he has to throw to, I mean, I know Cincinnati seems like they're not a very good coach team sometimes, and I'm sure there's other issues going on there that I don't know about. I mean, I only cover the Steelers, but I have seen Joe Burrow sometimes really get on his coach's ass on the sideline, like cursing his coach out, like really bad. Like he's really not happy in Cincinnati. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, do I think the Steelers are a much more stable organization? Yeah, obviously. But I just can't see the Cincinnati Bengals trading their star franchise quarterback to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the same division, even if the Steelers gave up 3 first-round draft picks. Let's see what James Harrison had to say. I mean, it's pretty wild what he's saying. He kind of got PAC Man Jones pretty pissed off, but you know, that rivalry will never go away. Let's see what this is what James Harrison wants to do. Can't turn that down. James Harrison wants Steelers to trade 3 first-rounders and more for Joe Burrow. I mean, I'm not saying he's not worth those types of picks. I just don't think it's going to happen. Hey, Steelers, 3 first-round picks for anybody, they're gone. Harrison said Friday on his Deebo and Joe podcast. They can't turn that down. I'll give you 3 first, a second, and a third. I've got the team. All I need is the quarterback, Joe Burrow. You see, we're number 1. We're building. We're 2-star Michelin. You want to make it 3? Come on over here. You can't turn that down. There's too much there. You've got to build something. Defense, they can't stop. A nosebleed over there. They're in trouble. Let the man go. Go get you something for it and start over. Harrison has been pitching the idea of Cincinnati sending Burrow to Pittsburgh for a while now. While the Bengals have underwhelmed in recent years, don't expect them to move on from their franchise. That's what I think. Franchise quarterback, especially by sending him to a division rival. I mean, then they show a comparison of what the Texans receive for like whoever runs the Browns. It's just like the Texans receive for Deshaun Watson, 2022 a first-round pick, 2022 a fourth-round pick, 2023 a first-round pick, 2023 a third-round pick, 2024 a first-round pick, 2024 a fourth-round pick. Browns received Deshaun Watson and a 6th-round pick, and then they guaranteed all his money. Oh my God, man. I'm telling you, I really think the owner of the Browns, he must like drink really heavily sometimes, and he must be like in a coma making these decisions. I mean, obviously I would love to have Joe Burrow, but I really just think this is a pipe dream. I mean, Joe Burrow looks like the most unhappiest man alive with the Cincinnati Bengals. Excuse me, I might have just said the Browns. Oh no, I was talking about Deshaun Watson. Excuse me. It's kind of late right now, so I'm a little discombobulated. But I don't know. Joe Burrow seems very unhappy with Cincinnati. They just paid him a boatload of money. They just gave his receivers a boatload of money too. I mean, I don't know, Joe. You're in a tough place on the Bengals. Just ask Joe Thomas on the Cleveland Browns. But I don't think that's ever going to happen. Would I like it to happen? Of course. Do I agree we should give up that many picks? Yeah, that's tough. I mean, that's tough. I don't know. I'd have to see what quarterbacks are coming out in the draft. Not this year, the following year. But then I would go from there. So let's see what Adam Jones was not happy about this. This was PAC Man Jones' response. Stop tampering. PAC Man Jones blasts James Harrison for recruiting pitch to Joe Burrow. James Harrison had a comment talking to Joe Burrow to go to Pittsburgh, the shitty-ass state, Jones said via Bet Online's Politely Raw podcast. We are orange and black, not yellow and black. Our roads do not have big-ass potholes in them when you're driving around. but he had the nerves to come out and say that he had to talk to Joe Burrow. I talked to Joe Burrow. Ain't no way in hell. Joe is an Ohio boy. We do not want to go to Pittsburgh. This organization that had all F's on the goddamn report card, it seems like it would be a downgrade to anybody that's leaving Cincinnati to go to goddamn Pittsburgh. Jones continued. This shit gotta stop, and it's gotta stop right now. And I called James and I told him, hey, stop tampering with our effing players. It's pretty funny. Let's see. Let me try to play it, see if you can hear it.
Hello, world. Welcome back to Politely Roast.
I can't. It's 27 minutes long. But yeah, I mean, Adam Jones is definitely, I don't think he's joking around either. He seems to take it pretty serious. That's a good, I like hearing that though, that he's taking it, taking the rivalry pretty serious, because sometimes I think some of these players don't care. But yeah, I don't know. That'll be a tough one. So a beat writer, he comes out today and he says he thinks that Aaron Rodgers will make a decision before the draft. Well, I'm hoping he does make a decision before the draft, because the Steelers need to get their act together when it comes to drafting players this year under Mike McCarthy. Think we'll get a decision before then. Beat writer predicts Steelers will hear from Aaron Rodgers by NFL draft. I think we'll get a decision before then. Maybe it's just wishful thinking on my part. I'll go ahead and say yes. I don't feel great about it. The conversations at this point last year were probably more about selling Aaron on the Steelers or quote unquote recruiting him, Backo said Friday on the North Shore podcast. I just would venture to guess that this year the conversations are not like that. It's probably a lot more casual and easygoing, but that doesn't make it any easier for the Steelers to operate without having 100% yes or no in or out from him. Oh. The draft will be held in Pittsburgh at the end of April, and the Steelers would sure like to know Aaron Rodgers' decision by then. Omar Khan mentioned earlier this offseason that he thought Rodgers' process might be a quicker one this time around, although the veteran doesn't seem close to an answer at the moment. Pittsburgh is now getting some heat from the media for waiting on Rodgers once again, and even if the Steelers don't plan on drafting a quarterback high anyway, making potentially 12 picks is probably easier when your starting quarterback is locked in. After Rodgers outplayed his $13.6 million contract last year, some wonder if the wait could have to do with the financials. Colin Cowherd mentioned Friday that even a price of $32 million would be fair for Rodgers. He's not going to ask for $32 million, so that's just ridiculous. I think if the most he would ever ask for is $20 million at this point, so I'm not really worried about that. For what it's worth, Rodgers did mention that he hadn't received an offer from the Steelers, speaking a few weeks ago on Pat McAfee's show. Many figured that's because the decision was simply whether he's coming back or not, but there is a possibility the financial aspect still needs to be ironed out. Well, I mean, it is a business and money is money, so I mean, I don't know. I expect him to take his time. Look, I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. He's very weird with the media. Even when he's getting treated well, he gets real touchy. Like last year, he said some things to the Pittsburgh media after certain games that I really didn't appreciate. Like when they deserved criticism, you can't come out and be like, the Steelers deserved a lot of criticism last year for the way they played in certain weeks. And sometimes the way Rodgers gets snippy with the media, it's like, I don't know, he should know better as a veteran, but hey, we're all different. We all have different temperaments. I'm sure I would get snippy too once in a while if I wasn't in a good mood, but who knows? I mean, listen, I say this all the time. This process should have started a long time ago, and it didn't. So we're in no position to dictate anything to Aaron Rodgers now. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but that's the reality of the situation. Oh, here we go. More glazing of Tomlin. The Tomlin glaze, it never ends. Compliments don't do it justice. Ex-Steelers tight end Jono Smith explains how Mike Tomlin compares to Bill Belichick. Well, I don't really think there's any comparison, honestly. Bill Belichick has 6 or 7 Super Bowl rings, and Tomlin has 1. Bill Belichick built his entire New England roster. Mike Tomlin got handed Big Ben and the best defense to ever exist in the NFL. And, Mike Tomlin got handed Bill Cowher's roster. So I don't really think there's a comparison. 1 Super Bowl ring to 7, but hey. I mean, it's Mike Tomlin's world and we're just all living in it. Smith spent the last of Tomlin's 19 years in Pittsburgh, and despite having high expectations, Smith was still blown away by his new coach. It was unlike any other thing I've been around. All of the compliments don't do it justice, you know what I mean. Just him being able to connect with guys and command a room. Smith said this week, speaking to Jordan Schultz, Mike T was every word that he said. He felt it. He mean it. It was powerful. One of the best public speakers I've ever been around. Oh, God. Can we stop with the public speaking and the friggin' motivational garbage? It's like if they have to motivate you at this level, you've already lost. This is why the Steelers, this is why we have the worst record against losing teams, because of this motivational garbage. This is why every week we play down to the competition. I mean, check Tomlin's record on a short week versus shitty teams. It's horrible. I'm so the motivational speaker and all this other garbage. It's just like, dude, whatever. These aren't new compliments from Smith, as Tomlin's ability to connect with his players is something that he's gotten plenty of praise for over the years. But to Smith, who spent time in places like Atlanta and Miami, Tomlin certainly might feel like a step up. However, that's not only the future Hall of Fame coach Smith has been around. After his rookie contract expired, Smith played 2 years in New England with Bill Belichick. Smith compared the two coaches during his conversation with Schultz. He said they each had a different coaching style, with Belichick having a surprise amount of humor, a lot of different in terms of just approach. Yeah, you could say that again. Bill and Mike T are two completely different personalities. Yeah, you could say that again. Smith's two great coaches, but just really was a lot different. Bill actually had a lot of sense of humor in his own way. He had a sense of humor, man. Okay, listen, there's only one comparison I'm going to make. Tomlin has 1 Super Bowl ring with a roster he didn't build. Bill Belichick has 7. I don't really think there's any comparison between Tomlin and Belichick whatsoever, and I think the comparison is utterly ridiculous. But hey, I mean, it just never ends. The glazing of Tomlin never ends. And then people always say, Bill Belichick only won because of Tom Brady. That's the excuse you hear all the time. You'll hear this from racist Ryan Clark. You'll hear this from woke ESPN. They'll be like, Bill Belichick isn't really a good coach. The only reason why he won is because of Tom Brady. Well, the same thing could be said about Mike Tomlin. The only reason why Tomlin won a Super Bowl is because of Big Ben, a quarterback he didn't draft. But hey, that makes too much sense. It's just whatever. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But if Bill Belichick had the talent of Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, Big Ben, and that stacked defense, Belichick probably has 10 Super Bowl rings, but whatever. So last year, the Steelers, they were interested in trading for Kirk Cousins in the offseason before they traded for Aaron Rodgers. No, they called on him. Insider says Steelers tried to trade for Kirk Cousins last offseason. Kirk Cousins is the one, and I know they called him last year, and the Falcons at the time didn't want to trade him, didn't want to engage in trade talks. But now Kirk Cousins is free, he said. Cousins potentially could be an option if they pivot away from Aaron Rodgers, which hasn't happened yet. This is coming from Rich Eisen. Oh, wait, no, excuse me. It was Tom Pelissero on the Rich Eisen show. This is who's reporting this. Pelissero ruled out Russell Wilson and Jimmy Garoppolo as options for the Steelers. There had been rumors last offseason that the Steelers tried to trade for Cousins, but nothing as definitive as how Pelissero put it, given the team's prior interest. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Cousins is the team's backup plan if Rodgers doesn't return. Signing Cousins would likely make him the Steelers starter for next season, and he could serve as a veteran mentor to Will Howard. It wouldn't preclude Howard from getting a chance at some point this season either, given that the team has been high on Howard all offseason, and the other alternative is to roll with Howard and Mason Rudolph. Signing Cousins as the backup plan makes some measure of sense. I don't know. To me, it's all about who can win the job in training camp. I don't think you should just be handed the job just because you're younger and you want to go in a new direction. If you go into camp and Will Howard clearly, we sign Kirk Cousins and he can't beat him out, then Kirk Cousins needs to be the starter. I'm all about the best man for the job. I'm not about anything else. And even if that means Mason Rudolph, let's just say hypothetically, Mason Rudolph look better than both of them, then he should get the start until he messes it up. And that sounds ridiculous because I don't think Mason Rudolph is a good quarterback. But to me, the NFL is about what you did for me today. What did you do today to compete? And if you're competing at the highest level at any position, you're the player that needs to be on the field. And I'm never going to back off from that. So. Ever. Hold on, let me see what this is saying. Steelers pub, Clark thinks Taylor would have been a good fighter, Vince Williams in Ireland. What is this? I can't. I'm not reading anything that Ryan Clark has to say. So I'm just gonna move on. This is coming from. I didn't know what the article. I just can't. So. Jono Smith, he was commenting on the first time he met Darnell Washington, and he's a big guy. So, Jono Smith's not a small person. That's a large human being. Jono Smith remembers first interaction with big country Darnell Washington. Darnell's probably the biggest football player, biggest teammate I've ever played with, man, Smith said Friday during an interview with NFL Insider's Jordan Schultz. I remember training camp. We came out in 12 personnel, and we were in the wing set, and he got in his stance, and I got in my stance, and I have never looked smaller on the field a day in my life. I was like, God, excuse my language, man, but I was like, damn, that's a large human being. We play the same position, and this dude is next to me. He's making me look like a mouse. I'm not the largest football player, but I'm 6'3", 250, exactly. He's not small. It's one thing if a smaller player like a wide receiver or slot corner looks like they're getting dwarfed. However, dwarfing a fellow tight end is impressive. Darnell's Washington size definitely left quite an impression on Jono Smith. However, size alone doesn't make for whatever. Listen, I seen Big Country, and he is gigantic. I'll tell you somebody that really looks the part all the time, too, was Najee Harris. Like, Najee Harris looked like he could have been Mr. Olympia. Like, his structure and, all of his muscles were very well balanced, his calves and everything. But, I don't know. You see T.J. Watt out there, and he looks like a giant G.I. Joe. The Steelers defensively, they're huge in the front seven. They're gigantic. Patrick Queen's the smallest guy at 6'1", 240, but everybody else is like 6'5" and better. I think Highsmith is a 6'4" and a half, but Cam Hayward's a legit 6'5". TJ Watt's he's 6'4" and 7/8. They're very defensively, even offensively, but we have, Calvin Austin III when we had him, and Tyler Warren, obviously they were shorter, but defensively, we're a huge defense. They all looked up, but TJ Watt is like a giant. TJ Watt needs to be cast in a G.I. Joe movie. Him and his brother. JJ, two giant. They should play the Zartan brothers in the G.I. Joe. I don't know. The Zartan brothers were like kind of evil, so maybe not. It's not like the best, but you get the point. Here we go. This is what a scout has to say about the wide receivers in this year's draft class. You just don't see first rounders. Anonymous NFL scouts pan 2026 wide receiver draft class. There's a decent amount of depth, but there's no real stud. An AFC personnel X told Bob McGinn via Go Long. Carnell Tate might be the first receiver taken, but he wasn't even the best receiver on his team in college. Well, I'm not for taking. I don't want the Steelers to use a first-round draft pick on a wide receiver. We got wide receivers. I think they're going to go offensive tackle. for Broderick Jones replacement. That would be the smartest pick. If we can't get Caleb Downs, a safety from Ohio State, then we need to go at left tackle. But hey, if the players are not there, we don't need to reach. We don't need to reach for a quarterback. We don't need to reach for a receiver, and I'm perfectly okay with that. It's no big deal. Let's see what else is going on in Steelers world. Well, here we go again. We have some predictions. Far from finished, Steelers among top teams positioned to make a Super Bowl run, The Athletic says. I think a lot of Steelers fans might disagree with that. Now, according to The Athletic, said Yusuf, the Steelers among some of the top teams in the league that are positioned to make a run to the Super Bowl. The quarterback position is a big question mark, whether Aaron Rodgers chooses to return or not. Rodgers was serviceable last year, but far from his MVP caliber play in Green Bay. However, assuming Rodgers does return, adding Pittman and Rico Dowdle to the offense will help. The biggest thing is that the Steelers are far from finished, Yusuf writes. They have 12 picks in this year's NFL draft, the most of any team in the NFL. They can still add a lot more young talent or dip into the trade market or both. Well, I mean, he's being very optimistic. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Steelers fans that disagree. We're positioned to make a run to the Super Bowl. I mean, well, I'll put it to you this way. Statistically and categorically, we are pretty much last in every statistical category on offense and defense. So I would settle for being in the top 10 of every one of those categories before I predicted to be in the Super Bowl again. But hey, I mean, whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you happy. That's fine. Let me see what else is going on. Kyle Duggar, he is lost in coverage. I don't know if he's going to be back with the Steelers signed a lot of safeties. He looks the part, but there were certain plays last year that he looked like he was going to literally run into the stands on coverage. He cannot locate the ball in the air at all. Mark Capoli says, it's extremely difficult to imagine a Steelers rookie wide receiver contributing immediately, Capoli says. Not only that, but it's not very often that a rookie receiver not named Puka Nacua, Randy Moss, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Anquan Bolden, that was a key contributor right out of the gate, he wrote, referring to Rodgers' expectations. I'm not saying it can't happen, but when you have DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman Jr., and presumably a quarterback that demands perfection with their route running, it would be, in my mind, extremely difficult to see a rookie receiver contributing immediately. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. And I don't think the Steelers are using their first-round draft pick on a wide receiver, especially after signing Michael Pittman Jr. Again, I don't think Caleb Downs is going to be there by the time we pick, and I predict right now that the Steelers go all left offensive tackle in the draft. Or like if they can get a stud inside linebacker from Georgia, the kid from Georgia, the stud inside linebacker, that's a possibility if he's still on the board. So I would say offensive tackle, safety Caleb Downs, or the linebacker from Georgia. But remains to be seen. See what else is going on. Give me a minute. Beat writer expects Steelers to try to trade back into the next year's draft. As of right now, if we really want to load up and try to get those future picks, teams are really unwilling to. Ray Philipowell said on the North Shore Drive podcast. Omar Khan, I think he's going to be trying to trade back into next year's draft. I think it's only natural that he would want to do that. He did a great job this past offseason of accumulating picks for the potential of drafting a quarterback this year. I don't think it's this year. I think it's the following. Whatever. The picks are for this year. What am I talking about? But I don't think I don't think we're taking a quarterback this year, so I don't know what he's trying to say. It only stands to reason he's going to be looking to do the same thing this coming year as well. Under former GM Kevin Colbert, the Steelers never traded into a future year's draft from the current year's draft. They of course, have accumulated future picks for players after a draft has taken place to find the last trade of the current picks for the future picks. To find the last trade of current picks for the future picks, though, you have to go a while back. All right, I'm not, oh man, this quarterback thing is just, it could really drive you crazy, but we're not getting our quarterback of the future this year, I can tell you that. So I don't even want to spend the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round. If the Steelers cannot draft a quarterback that's a definite lock in the 1st round, like the next Eli Manning, the next Big Ben, the next Phillip Rivers, I don't want to waste any picks on a quarterback. Let's just get all the pieces around our quarterback set. And then when it's time to pounce on a quarterback, we pounce on a quarterback. So our new free agent signing, Sebastian Joseph Day, brings a hard hat and lunch pail mentality to the D-line. I don't try to be pretty. I like hearing that. That's what's funny. Joseph Day told Missy Matthews for the Steelers website about having no position preference. I think what makes me a little unique is that I legit can play anywhere. I started my career playing next to Aaron at nose tackle. Then I went to the Chargers. I played more 3 technique. Now with the Titans, I played more 5 technique, 6 technique, which is more outside, on the tackle, outside the tackle. I pride myself on being able to do it all and play from anywhere and get the job done. I don't consider myself flashy. I don't consider myself pretty. Joseph Day went on. I don't try to be pretty. Bring your hard hat and your lunch pail and just get it done, you know? I love hearing that. Sounds like my type of guy. That's exactly what I want to hear. The Steelers signed Joseph Day earlier this month to a 2-year, $11 million contract. He slots in behind starters Hayward, Harmon, and Keanu Benton, and will pair with Black as key rotational contributors. Traditionally, they only dress 5 defensive linemen on game day, but there's potentially room for one more. Currently, Ezizi Odomowo and Logan Lee would be the top candidates. Well, I like hearing this attitude. This is the type of grinder that we need. This is, no-nonsense approach. I'm going to roll up my sleeves. I'm going to fight you. It's time to get dirty. I'm not going to complain. That's the type of teammate. That's the type of man that I want wearing the black and gold. And I like hearing that. And, if you look at him on tape, he looks like a fire hydrant that's hard to move. And the Steelers need to really, we're having problems stopping the run. I don't want to hear this year if the Steelers, like during the game, they only gave up 150 yards on the ground. That sounds ridiculous. But whatever. Big Ben thinks Steelers will be next AFC North team to win Super Bowl. Ravens windows closing. Obviously, Cleveland, you don't even have to ask that one. And Cincinnati, obviously, I like what Joe Burrow does. Their offense is really good, but they don't care about their defense, and they don't care about anything there. Roethlisberger added, and they don't care about anything there. Roethlisberger added. But he was reluctant to say the Steelers would be the next AFC North team to win the Super Bowl because he would be accused of being a homer. I would say Pittsburgh, even breaking it all down. It's a long-winded answer to say Pittsburgh. That's funny. Let me read that again. Obviously, Cleveland, you don't even have to ask that one. And Cincinnati, obviously, I like what Joe Burrow does. Their offense is really good, but they don't care about their defense, and they don't care about anything there. That's pretty funny. That is funny. Oh, that's funny. That is funny. Let me see what else is going on. Give me a minute. Let me pull some stuff up. Oh, yeah, Cam Hayward has a lofty goal. I think he's 8 sacks away from 100. I mean, that's incredible, the position that he plays. Cam Hayward has a lofty goal to make equally lofty history. In what could be his final NFL season, Cam Hayward will need to buck father time in an even more dramatic way to reach an exclusive NFL club. Hayward enters his 16th season with 92 career sacks, putting him eight shy of triple digits. For a power rushing defensive lineman with just 3.5 sacks a year ago, joining that 100 club will be difficult, but few expected Hayward to get this far while still playing at a high level. There's plenty of reason to think he's capable of tallying 8 sacks and getting there. Just 2 years ago, Hayward finished with 8 of them. Doing it again would land him squarely on 100. His sack production fell off in 2025, but he still proved capable of rushing the passer. A few chances were stolen by teammates like TJ Watt and Derek Harmon. Hayward didn't lose juice throughout the season. In fact, 2 of his 3.5 sacks came over the final 4 games, one against Miami and another the following week against Detroit, showing off his patented bull rush to power through the line and collapse the pocket on both. I hope Cam gets it. I mean, it would be a great... Seeing Cam Hayward get 100 sacks in his career would be incredible. I mean, he's had a great career. He's so durable, great guy in the locker room. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Cam Hayward. Hootie from Hootie and the Blowfish. That's my guy, Cam Hayward. Great player, great person. Let me see what else is going on. So there's a beat writer talking about how the Steelers are going to stockpile picks for the 2027 quarterback class as their goal. I keep telling you this all the time. I had a dream that the Steelers drafted Dylan Raiola. He's playing at Oregon this year after being at Nebraska. I'm going full Candace Owens. You know, I had a dream about it. They drafted him. And it worked out perfectly. He was playing like the next Big Ben. So I'm hoping he's a good player. I like him, and I like the quarterback from USC, the Big Simone kid. Can pretty much assure Steelers will trade top 100 picks. Stockpiling for the 2027 quarterback class is their goal, says beat writer. The Pittsburgh Steelers have 5 of the first 100 picks in the 2026 NFL Draft, presenting a major opportunity to swing big and add some high-end talent to an aging roster. 3 of those picks sit in the 3rd round at numbers 76, 85, and 99 overall. That's pretty good. With a number of roster holes, the Steelers under GM Omar Khan and assistant GM Andy Weidel could use those 3 third-round picks to address key needs. Longtime Steelers beat writer Mark Capoli doesn't believe that will be the case. In fact, Capoli sees the Steelers trading one of those third-rounders for the 2027 draft capital. I can pretty much assure you that they aren't using all 3 of those third-round picks. Capoli wrote Thursday morning in a Mailbox X. Here's my computer messing around again. Let me click out of it real quick. Give me a second. I don't know what's wrong with this. I've been having technical problems all week, so there's nothing new. Give me a second. All right, well, you get the point. Let me move on from that. So, that's the rumor mill that the Steelers are, they're not going to use all their third-round picks because they want to use one of them next year to trade up into the draft so they can get their hands on the quarterback of the future. I mean, let's hope that's true. Let's hope it, hold on. What the hell is going on? Let me pull up the article again. Give me a second. All week, nothing but computer problems, taping problems. I tell you this all the time. Nothing but technical problems. me a second. All right, I pulled up the article again. Just give me a minute. This wasn't the article. Let me move on to the next article. You get the point. But yeah, Capoli was saying that they're going to use that one of the third-round picks next year to trade up to get their quarterback, and that's fine with me. I don't care. Another beat writer says, is there going to be a fall off from Tomlin? Insider picks Ravens as division favorites. I don't think so. I think the Ravens are a disaster. Since then, the Steelers have done nothing but improve based on the general consensus of their offseason so far. Meanwhile, the Ravens hemorrhaged talent in free agency and had the Max Crosby trade fall through an ugly situation. Yet for NFL Network insider Mike Garafolo, the Ravens should be viewed as the favorites in the AFC North entering the 2026 season, not that he gave them a ringing endorsement. I guess, Garafolo said Friday on Good Morning Football when asked if Baltimore is the favorite. But here's what's weird. Everything in the AFC North has been flipped on its head for me, because it used to be that you'd say, oh, it's the toughest division to pick because you can make a case for everybody. Now it's almost like it's the toughest division to pick because you can poke holes in everybody, right? That's what happens when Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh leave the division. All of a sudden, you don't know what you have. The division underwent significant change earlier in the offseason with the Ravens firing Harbaugh in Baltimore and Tomlin resigning after the Steelers' wildcard loss to Houston, ending 18 and 19-year runs respectively. Now the Ravens are counting on Jesse Minter to right the ship, while 62-year-old Mike McCarthy was called home to shepherd the Steelers into the post-Tomlin era. The Steelers have made a lot of moves so far this offseason and by most accounts have improved. The Ravens did add a big piece in pass rusher Trey Hendrickson, but they also lost a ton of talent across the board in free agency, so there are questions about Baltimore moving forward. Well, I don't know. I do think the Steelers are the AFC North favorite to win the division. I think we're in a lot better shape than Baltimore. So I don't really agree with that article at all. I think our offensive line is better. I think our defense is better. I think we're better. I think we're better in just pretty much every position. And there's a lot of drama going on with Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. So I don't even really think their quarterback position is as set as they think it is in Baltimore. I think the Ravens are in a lot of trouble. So I think we're a more stable franchise, and I think in a lot of positions we have better players. And I think we are the team to beat in the AFC North. Let's see what else is going on. Steelers have most draft capital. The Steelers have most draft capital they've had in a quarter century in 2026. The Steelers are in position to have a considerable upside in the draft. Pittsburgh has their most draft capital since 2025 years. First time they have a top 10 draft capital in decades. They have 7 total picks in the first 4 rounds. Can't afford to blow this opportunity. Don't we hear all the time that the Steelers, don't we hear this from racist Ryan Clark and ESPN, that the Steelers are never in a good position to draft great players, and that's why Tomlin can never get the quarterback he needs? It's just like, whatever, man. Like, let's just say hypothetically you were stuck picking at pick number 19 or 20 for the last 15 years in the NFL. you should still be able to find your quarterback. Just that Tomlin didn't have an eye for talent. So I'm not going to get into it. It's too late, too early, whatever you want to call it. But we got a lot of picks this year to make our roster a lot better, bring in a lot of young players, and we can really turn this thing around fast with Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy has a track record of turning around pro teams pretty fast, and I expect that to happen. I don't expect a drop off. I think we're going to be better under McCarthy than Tomlin. So I think you're going to see a night and day difference in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think we're going to be considerably better on offense. I think we're going to be considerably better on defense. I think it's going to be a much better year in 2026 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2.